Hi there, I'm Haruka. One of my favorite pastimes in anime is watching super trashy, ecchi shows to find some sort of redeeming qualities from them. It's basically dumpster diving. Usually the best part is the animation quality, because in order to fully show off the big anime titties, they really need to up that quality. But sometimes there's times where the plot is actually really interesting, or it tackles a concept that nobody else really has tackled before. One of the first videos I ever made was about this, so you should go watch that. So this time around, I decided to watch Keijo, 6 exclamation marks. It's a sports anime, it's got tsujideres, and it's also one of the most sexualized things I've ever seen. This is the perfect anime for me to analyze. The question we'll be trying to answer is this: does the whole of the show overcome its blatantly sexual nature to become an anime that can stand on its own outside of the ecchi? Are the characters developed emotionally and not just physically? Does this show actually get you to care about the action? Basically, is this anime worth anything outside of ass and titties? Let's start by actually explaining what the sport of Keijo actually is. It's basically just wrestling on water, only using ass and titties. They're on floating platforms called the land, and those platforms can be drastically different from race to race. Yes, each match is called a race for some reason. All strikes must be delivered with boobs or butts, and a fighter loses when they either fall off the land and into the water, or something other than their feet touches the land. There's also some actual strategy that goes into this sport. There are different types of fighters. There's infighters, who are strength-based fighters who use raw power to push opponents around. Outfighters are more based on speed and dodging out of the way to tire opponents out, and then using that speed to deliver some punches and bunches. Counterfighters are exactly what they sound like, defensively focused and either absorbing blows to tire out the opponent or having the skill to time counterpunches perfectly to throw others off balance. It's like actual boxing. But then the horny comes back in with the actual techniques of the sport. Like any good shonen, almost every major technique has a name that is shouted as it happens. So combining that with the ecchi elements, you're gonna get a lot of weird parody names like titty hypnosis, the boob dunk, vacuum butt cannon, and the legendary gate of Bootylan. Also, there's parts where doing certain horny things actually help them fight better. One of the girls gives herself a wedgie so she can move more easily, which I can say sounds very similar to something that I see a lot of soccer players do with their own shorts. But then there's also a couple of fighters whose moves are pretty much just sex with clothes on. On to characters! The main girl is Nozomi Kaminashi. Nozomi used to do gymnastics, but now she wants to use Keijo to get rich because it's a big money prize sport like boxing. Despite not being that strong, she's an infighter due to her technique. She's the one with the vacuum butt cannon, which is a forbidden technique because if you use it too often, or you don't do it with the right technique, it pretty much vaporizes your pelvic region. Then we've got the lads, I mean the girls. Sayaka Miyata is a former judo prodigy who abandoned her father's dojo to fight in Keijo because she reportedly thought the swimsuits were cute. That's literally the reason she gave for betraying her father. She's a speedy outfighter whose secret ability is giving herself a wedgie to reduce air resistance. Kazane Aoba is more of a strategist than an actual fighter. She's really good at reading situations and also has a superpower where she can learn other people's techniques by groping their ass. That's where the gate of Bootylan comes from. Non Toyoguchi is just a klutz who doesn't really do much other than be a Genki girl klutz. She doesn't have a special ability, but what she does have is an ass that is so incredibly soft that it deflects all attacks. Then there's the elites, with even stupider abilities. First you've got Hanabe Kawai, who decided to try Keijo because she thought it would help her get a boyfriend. It hasn't helped with that, but it's not a complete loss because she has her pick of potential girlfriends. Her introduction to the show was her literally giving other girls instant CTE by snapping their necks with her instantaneous ass attacks. Kotone Fujisawa is the daughter of a Keijo legend and the younger sister of a current Keijo champion, but personally she's just a closet fujoshi. Also, her ass appears to be possessed by a demon dog with the ability to move and act on its own. Finally, Mio Kusakai, who is the embodiment of horny on main. She's tall, blonde, American, and incredibly horny. Pretty much all of her special moves involve some sort of sexual act. Even her titty hypnosis technique is a fetish. And before I move on, I just want to mention Ass Eater Nanase, because her nickname is Ass Eater Nanase. So all of these girls join a special school, essentially a college specifically for Keijo fighters. That's right, for legal reasons, all of these girls are over 18. They take classes like astronomy and boobology. They also get sorted into normies and elites. There's only 10 elites who get special privileges and training due to just being better than everyone else. The plot goes with the lads, I mean girls, winning a tournament made for normies to fight their way into the elite roster. Then they take a trip to Kyoto because a beach episode is useless when everyone's already wearing swimsuits all the time. They get special training from current Keijo pros, and Nozomi learns a new trick called the butt flash. It all ends in a big battle between their school in the east and the better school in the west. It's a 3-part team race where we get big action and also VAR. Reminder that VAR is bullshit. So, time for an evaluation. What is this anime from a dramatic standpoint? Honestly, Keijo doesn't really do much with its plot. It's simple, it doesn't really say anything new, and it's not even spicy. but it's not supposed to be a drama, so obviously it's not going to get very many points on that end. As a comedy, Keijo is definitely funny, but it's mostly funny because of the boob jokes. Like, boob jokes are fun, but an entire show built around sex jokes isn't actually as funny as you think it might be. I've seen it fail that way before. Also, by calling it a comedy, the show essentially gets tossed into the exploitation category. There's more to this show than jokes. What Keijo does and does exceptionally well is being a part of the shonen sports genre. Yes, there's a lot of ecchi comedy, but the main force of the show is carried by the same sort of hype you get from stuff like Ahiro no Sora or Haikyuu. All the biggest and most dramatic moments from the show still hit the same even if you ignore all the titties. Yeah, the gate of Bootylan is a funny joke, but it's also memorable as a pivotal story beat for that character. So did we answer the question? Is Keijo worth something more than just ass and titties? Well, yes and no. As a sport, Keijo is actually incredibly interesting, and the portrayal of this fake sport makes you care about it in the same way that any other shonen sports anime drags you into the sport it's made about. On the other hand, it doesn't really land the same way without the comedy filler. You're not going to be watching this unless you're here for ecchi. I spent much of the pivotal scenes laughing my ass off because I'm realizing how invested I am in a glorified butt battle. In the end, Keijo is an extremely sexualized ecchi comedy, but if you really want to watch it, you will be rewarded with an amazing sports element. And honestly, the sports are what you should be watching for here, because you're going to get ecchi whether you want it or not. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. I am back to one video a week, and hopefully it's going to stay that way for a while, and you're going to get better content from me and more well-researched, and I'm also not going to be scrambling to make things. So look out for that. Also, I have patrons. Only one of them is on screen because nobody really signed up, but but hey, you can sign up and you can get your name in big font up there or in slightly smaller font. There's plenty of room, and when there's not enough room, I guess I'll have to change things. But how about forcing me to make room?